DorkyDev? Hello, I feel the DorkyDev. Blah. That's where I win.
But yeah,
I'm the DorkyDev.
you are the DorkyDev. Hi, Dev.
How's it going?
Hi. Welcome everybody to the show. I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. You are doing well, right?
No, I'm doing awfully. Why are we doing this?
No,
show?
I'm doing
This
awfully.
is
Why are we doing this?
So
Oh,
dumb.
awfully.
I'm joking.
Why are we-
What? Oh no.
Okay, I don't know why that echo happened, but it's done now. All's good.
Okay. That's weird.
All right. So, okay. Yeah, all's fine. Everything sucks, though. Dev's sad, I guess. I'm just kidding.
No. What?
I know. All
No,
right.
I'm just fixing something I'm just fixing something at the same time as we start this up because I just realized I didn't do it before the show.
Oops. Okay, it's fine. It happens. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, but I'm not gonna call it out
Yeah?
because I make that mistake all the time. So,
Yeah.
welcome
go.
everybody to this week's show, which I have dubbed New Beginnings.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay.
Don't just ignore me.
All right, fine.
Whatever face I make right now, just
And you're whistling. I'll ignore that too.
for it.
Okay. But yeah, it's New Beginnings.
Anyways.
Shut the fuck up. So yes, this week it is New Beginnings, where we're talking about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Then we're gonna go into the Joker, and then we got news and wrap up and all that fun stuff to talk about. So, any questions? Anything at all? Like, do you want to know why I called it New? I'm just kidding. Anything you want to say or do, or forever hold your breath?
Why would I want to hold my breath?
I don't know.
Sorry. Bottle was leaking for some reason, so I'm just trying to figure out why.
Oh God! All right, I guess not. We're getting into.
Why is it still leaking? For fuck's sake, I look like a child.
That's what it feels like to drink when you have facial hair. It just gets caught in your mustache, and then it goes down your beard, and then it's on your shirt.
Yeah, but this has the straw thing on it. Why is it still leaking? What did I do to this bottle?
Is the straw plugged all the way in?
I might have fixed it. I'm not sure. We'll find out later.
All right.
Plug it.
All right. Well, we're talking about Batman v Superman now. It's Dawn of Justice time, which, for those of you, there's a little bit of a specification. Me and Dev decided this time we were going to watch this movie as the Ultimate Edition, the extended Ultimate Edition, instead of the theatrical cut, because we're like,
Because
let's.
we already had seen the theatrical cut once, and I did not want to watch it again. Mind you, regret the decision because it would have been cheaper for us to rent 2 copies of the original, the regular cut, than to buy one version of this copy because you can't rent the stupid fucking Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, and plus, I realized that with whatever services that I have here, I could have watched the movie for free. Somehow. I think it was free on TNT, so, and we have cable here. So if you watch the theatrical edition, we only would have had to pay for one copy. Which, I mean, we paid for one copy, but it was, $15 more expensive than it needed to be.
It was $10
Oh, okay.
total. I did not buy the fucking... I did not buy the... This week, we did not watch it in HD. I'll tell you what. We watched that shit in standard.
It's fine.
And I don't think it would have made a difference.
The only difference we would have seen is a little bit less darkness.
Hi, Chasing. Yeah, but fuck it. The film's already dark enough.
So yes, let's talk about this movie and not how we watched this movie, shall we?
So I remember the original cut pretty well. There isn't much change besides like one thread through the movie, one like story that kind of happens as a background story of the woman from the country that Superman goes to save the Lois Lane from the beginning. And then I think some of Lois's journalism is extended.
Yeah.
Until the very end, which... Spoiler, I've spoiled this on other episodes. You know what happens at the end. It's extended. It's extended by a lot, and I feel it's a lot better during this part. Like the entire ending. Stop! I'm not gonna actually say this. Fuck off. But I feel the ending is way better in this version.
I would agree with you, especially just because how the fight, like, so there's the big fight that everyone knows
Yes.
about, and then there's the bigger fight that everyone knows about.
Yes.
And it's just like I enjoyed the storytelling a little bit better because it even every moment, like you mentioned that there's like a little bit more connections between like her sleuthing, and that's basically it. But even just those added details that they give makes the ending feel better because then they slightly change the fights and they change the conversations in between the fights, and it just makes
There's more build.
Yeah, they like it's weird because watching the extended version of this movie, I mean, I told you about this earlier too. Like, I like the story better. I definitely do.
Yes.
It is definitely a more coherent, better told story. However, the problem is it added like 45 minutes to the movie.
It's as long as Endgame, with nowhere near as much a right to do that.
Yeah, like watching this movie, I was both interested because if I looked away, there was like one hint of dialogue that I would miss that's new because it was this was the extended edition. But if you look back, then you're watching just the same old stuff over again. So like I got bored in the middle of this movie while at the same time being more impressed with this movie. It was weird. It was like being somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. No, and I agree. This the Ultimate Edition is far superior to the theatrical cut, but that doesn't necessarily make it a great film. My opinion, this would stand up. This would be a great film if it was still the 2000s.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Like, this would compete so well with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogies and the early X-Men trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It would do good against those.
one other thing that I do have to say that I did like about this film with the added storytelling was all of the Clark Kent story that we got.
Yeah, he felt like a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That was everyone's biggest complaint. Superman just kind of felt like a pariah in the theatrical cut. Well, in this one, he was doing journalism. He was being Clark Kent.
Yes.
Which is important to the duality of Superman.
Mm-hmm. Especially because it helps decide Superman's decision on Batman later. And helps key in what's going to happen later.
It makes his, ending more important. And more connected and more, built towards. Mind you, this also goes to show that they didn't know what they were doing with a sequel to Superman because, again, they threw the character Doomsday into this, and Lex felt like a Joker knockoff.
A little bit.
I feel like it's even more prominent in this cut. Like, he's just quirky.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that this Lex Luthor was the scheming, planning ahead Lex Luthor. Like, don't get me wrong, it did feel like he did have plans, and everything that he planned out worked out, like, in the way he intended. But
Until the very end.
Yeah, but you're right. It was more like a chaotic plan rather than a...
It was more of a Riddler.
Yeah, almost. Well, yeah, pretty much.
And not the Hush version. I have to preface that now.
Yes, you
Fuck.
do. I'm not scared of them anymore. Yeah.
Fucking Christ. And in my opinion, Jesse Eisenberg would have made a great Riddler. Again, watching this.
Probably.
I just don't see... His character isn't Lex Luthor, is the problem. And I want to say that's on Zack Snyder. In the sense that, as a director, your job is to tell your actors when things fly, when things don't, right?
I mean, but at the same time, you look back at all of the other character choices. Like, they made gritty Superman, and they made weaker Batman. And
No, not just that. Batman who kills.
Also true. weaker Batman who kills. They have just shows up at the key moments Wonder Woman.
Which, when her theme plays, Jesus Christ, it's still so fucking awesome. She steals the show, and she's in this movie for 5 fucking minutes. And the entire time I'm like, I still want more of her.
I mean,
more!
Good thing they're making a second prequel movie for her.
Okay. Wrong choice, in my opinion, especially rewatching this. I've stepped away from Man for 100 years. Except for 1984. Yep. But I don't talk about that, apparently.
I don't admit that one because there's no photographs from this time period.
Apparently. But at the same time, like, she comes onto the scene and she's Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. And that fucking theme steals it so well. And you're just like, holy shit!
I think my ear started to bleed from your singing.
Fair enough, but like, her theme fucking rocks, dude. Like, I forget, like, I wanted to send you a text being like, fuck, I forgot how much of a banger Wonder Woman's theme really is. Because the moment it starts playing, you're like, this is a whole different film. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching the extended cut. Holy shit. And I'll say also, the music of this just feels better, too. Like, it doesn't just feel like it's trying to riff Superman's theme. Mm-hmm. It feels like it's kind of earned now. But the problem is it's too fucking long, and when we do get to the action, it's obvious, like, there's CGI fights, and then there's blatantly CGI fights that move so slow.
Mm-hmm. It kind of sucks, because in this movie alone, there are 2 Batman fight scenes. There's the first Batman fight scene is really interesting because it's a oneer, so it's one long shot, uncut version of Batman fighting off a crowd of people. It's interesting.
No, that's a different one.
Well, it's the dream sequence.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about.
There's the second one with the guns. And then there's the third one.
I thought you were talking about with Soups.
Superman.
Okay, because it goes Dream, Soups, People, Guns. Which, mind you, the one with the Dream and the one with the dudes feel so fucking cool.
Well, here's how I feel about that. Because, like, the one with the Dream fight, really freaking cool. Except for there are scenes when you see the people coming out where they're like run up and they're like, wait, hold on, now's my cue.
You see, yeah, I noticed that so badly this time. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, and that happens a couple times in that fight scene. There's the fight with Superman, which you mentioned, where the punches and all of the action itself.
Oh God,
is
it was
so slow. Yeah.
For how powerful the punches were supposed to feel, they don't feel like they have that, because they just kind of look like, oh! Mm-hmm. They feel like one punch man punches to each other. Is the best way to put it. With how much force looks like it's in, like the reactions are to it, it doesn't quite add up in your brain. You're like, this doesn't look right.
Like, yeah, because there's one scene in particular where they do something called the drop frame method, where you cut a frame or 2 maybe for an impact. So it's like, for instance, if I was to punch myself, they would cut the frame between here to here so the hit looks more powerful. And it's kind of funny because you're watching, like, the fight that I'm thinking, the scene in particular that I'm thinking of is where Superman's is on the wall with Batman just punching him in the face, and it's like one good hit. It's weird looking, but he's reacting really hard. And then he's less reacting, and then it's like, now it kind of makes sense. Now it kind of looks right.
Yeah. And then it eventually gets to,
there's no point anymore.
Soups just gets that little smile. Mm-hmm. Which, I'll admit, there were moments in that fight where you could see the beauty of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But then there are moments where you're like, what the fuck is this fight?
I mean, I both agree and disagree because I like the thought that, I mean, sure, Superman was kind of holding back essentially, but I like
Yes.
that Batman still did the things that he did. Like,
Oh no, don't get me wrong. The stuff they do, I'm okay with. It's the execution that's the problem.
yeah,
Like the entire fight,
at least
concept and everything, is an awesome idea.
one thing I do like is that at least they transitioned out of that fight a little bit better. Like they explained a little bit more behind the key frame that everybody hated, the key scene.
Martha.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
They added backstory to it, like and flashbacks and like PTSD moments, and it's like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah, him having like a flashback moment, which I can't remember if it's in the regular cut or not.
No,
It's not.
no,
Man,
it's,
that makes that scene
"Save
way.
Martha. Why'd you say her name? It's his mother. That's it. That's the whole scene.
Jesus Christ, that makes way better sense to have the little like PTSD flashback to his mom dying. Wow, what a fucking concept.
Right, and then the fight scene that I do actually really like is the next scene with the group of guys. And the
Oh
guns.
my God, it's straight out of Arkham.
Yeah, like it's cool because they have Batman do his Batman technology to start the fight off with. It's then followed up by awesomeness because you get to see him actually doing really cool choreography. We get to see powerful punches, and then we get to see like him take hits and keep on fighting, and it shows him like an actual person, but just powering through it. Unlike
Which
all
are
these
some of
other
the best
people.
scenes in the comics when he's like outnumbered and like he's taking certain hits, but he's also just picking them off one by one by one, and you're like, oh my God, until like that last guy's like, please don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Bam.
Yeah. Like, that last fight scene is one of my favorite fight scenes I've seen in a lot of movies, but it sucks because
That's
it has
real choreographed fighting. I'll preface that because the fight scene after this is not choreographed.
just a CGI mess.
Yes.
But yeah, but it sucks because the one with the group of guys and their guns is one of my favorite scenes ever, but the other fights in this film are kind of bad. I mean, they have good
Yeah.
moments, but overall, they're relatively bad.
They really are. Like, they have great concepts and cool ideals. Except for the last fight. I will say the very last fight has almost nothing going for it other than Wonder Woman. Because they turned... I will still talk about this to this day and still talk about how fucking stupid it is. Because I brought this up as soon as the trailer dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it up. Why the fuck does Doomsday look like goddamn motherfucking cave troll from Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring?
Yeah.
Compare the two.
when
It's the same fucking assets.
I looked at him a little bit closer and I was like, why isn't there a hairless gorilla on screen? Like, that was not a good looking model, character design model at all.
I swear to you, it's the same thing. It's the character model from
I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I really don't. Because you could pull
which
up
is sad.
the only difference is I think they narrowed, like they squished the face a little bit more. Like the cave troll had a longer face and Doomsday had a wider face.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it because I just pulled up the cave troll.
Yeah,
and that is
there's a close.
like essentially what it is. The eyes are a little bit further out on the cave troll, and he's kind of just squished down a little bit.
There's a close. I'm thinking of two scenes in particular. I'm thinking of there's literally a scene when the cave troll is first introduced in Lord of the Rings where you get to see a close up of it yelling, and then I'm thinking of one of the many close ups of Doomsday from Batman v Superman. Like you could just pull up the two right next to each other, and
I found someone who did it.
You did?
Thank God. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm sending. Where do you want me to send it? I just sent it on Discord. I can send it elsewhere real quick.
Twitter.
Got it. Your Twitter or Har?
Oh, let's do mine since I'm.
Okay. On it. Paste. Because they did it. That right there should take you to it.
Messages. That's literally what I was thinking about.
It really is though. It's really just the fucking cave troll.
I think it's that button. Am I on the right screen? I'm trying to remember my hotkeys.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool.
It's the cave troll, though. That is all it is.
The difference, yeah, like I said, the whiter eyes, and then they added a few more rocks.
Like, as the fight progresses, he gets more rocks.
Yeah.
There are also a lot of comparisons that he looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
You're also not wrong now that you mention it.
He's if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the cave troll had a child.
Yeah, just now.
That also genetically, like, the shell breaks through its skin.
Yeah, just imagine that these rocky bits over his face are actually the bandanas covering his eyes, and then you can totally see it.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Not far off. It's just, the problem is, Doomsday looks so fucking cool in the comics because he has that big, fucking chiseled, literally chiseled rock beard, right?
Yeah.
And he has rocks all over his face, and I get it's supposed to be a young Doomsday. The problem with this is you're adapting such an important moment in comic history. You can't fuck it up.
Yeah, when ultimately my biggest complaints about this film is that there's just too much. They decided to call it Batman v Superman, and then they added Doomsday and Wonder Woman and hints about the Justice League altogether, and it's just...
And then throw in Superman Doomsday at the end.
Exactly.
Like
it's literally too many stories, and that's why a 3.5 hour long film makes sense for this movie. Like, finally everything makes more sense. But the fact that it has to be 3.5 hours long is a problem.
Yes. And I agree 100% that the fact that watching the Ultimate Cut makes this film make more sense is an awful thing. Because, like, I bet you, we've talked about it, there are scenes that they could have cut from Endgame, but I'm glad they didn't because there was a lot of fan service in there. And they could have cut some of that fan service out.
I mean, they cut out a lot already.
Yeah, I know. There was a cut of it that was, what, like 4 hours? Mm-hmm. Which, Jesus, I'd still watch it. Not even gonna lie. But, like, the fact that this needed to exist for me to actually kind of appreciate this film more, I think also makes me underappreciate this film more. Mm-hmm. Because, like, why do I have to watch a longer version, which drags? It does drag. That's probably its biggest problem, that there is so much that it needs to cover that it does drag out. Mm-hmm. Like, cut the dream sequence, cut the hints at the other Justice League.
Especially
if you're gonna do those post-credits, that's what they're for. It's well established. If you're going to set stuff up or your future, they go to the post-credits. Like, that's just cinema these days.
Pretty much, yeah. Or, like, if you want to hint at it in the main movie, be like how they did it. Like we've mentioned in Kong, how they were like, oh, Monarch. And then suddenly Godzilla and Monarch is super important.
Or even in Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man, they bring up during Luis's story at the end when what's her name? She's really popular right now. Is talking to Falcon, and she talks about, we got ones to change size, one's on walls. Like, they hinted at Spider-Man right there, who was going to show up in the next film. But it was established in one line.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man existed. It didn't need to be these fucking YouTube shorts on a computer, which, Jesus Christ, that scene stops the movie entirely when it happens. Because that's right towards the very end of the movie. That's right before the third act starts.
Yeah, when it's been like 40 minutes without seeing a Wonder Woman. I keep just wanting to call her Gal Gadot, but yeah. Where it's like
I think it's Gal Gadot.
There's no, I don't. I'm not gonna try on that one.
That's fair. The reason why I know this is because I recently watched in reviews Fast and Furious franchise for Kind of Funny, and it was one of the topics of discussion because Greg Miller didn't know, and like a lot of the cast there tried to fix that, and he's like, Gigi.
I always think of it as Gal Gadot because I think of the gem Peridot. It's not Peridot. It's Peridot, and it ends
Fair.
DOT.
Fair. I'll look it up later. It's not important right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But also I gotta say, Amy Adams. The biggest problem I had with the original cut was that she was just kind of there, and Lois shouldn't just be there in a film that has Doomsday in it. And the longer cut makes her feel more fleshed out and really there, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it takes a long ass cut to do it.
Yeah. So, at this point, we're just saying, too long. Should have been better the first time.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just part of the problem that DC just tried to dive into the deep end of having two of their fucking heroes fight each other on the second movie of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they gotta establish that Justice League for the third film,
Fifth film.
Technically. Alright.
Because there was Suicide Squad, which that was a hoot, and Wonder Woman. At that point, for the first five, best of the franchise.
Okay, Dev. I don't think there's much else new that we can talk about on this, because I feel like we're kind of focusing on the fact that this movie's too long at this point.
Well, okay, I wanted to say, how did you feel about Batman?
Batman.
Because we've talked about little things, yeah. Because it's very it's a understandably divisive choice.
Mm-hmm. I personally do not like this Batman. I mean, I do and I don't, because I do not mind Ben Affleck. I do not like how they've portrayed Batman, because the way I think of Batman is the man who is always prepared for everything, the one human man who can single-handedly defeat the Justice League all by himself. That's not what this Batman is at all. He is a man who, sure, this may be his first time dealing with metahumans, essentially, but
it's not.
Yeah, at the same time.
That's established in Suicide Squad, because they're fucking Killer Croc and Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, El Diablo.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, I just don't like this Batman as Batman. Even in the last fight, all he does is hide and run. And that's not Batman.
The dude's known for the fact that he's taken on Doomsday or during a fight. One of my favorite, and I've talked about this scene before, and I will talk about it again, is the end of Justice League Unlimited. Mm-hmm. When Batman and Superman are fighting Doomsday together. You have the fucking Man of Steel and Batman.
And just a man.
Fighting. Yes. Essentially, in that moment, yes. And Batman dodges an Omega Beam. And literally, Darkseid's like, no one's ever done that before. I'm actually impressed. And pretty much backslaps Batman across the room. And that's when Superman gets up and does his really fucking awesome speech that I praise every time because it's fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. But, he runs this entire fight and it's just no, Batman, when it comes down to it, he's gonna, and there's moments of it, when he, is I need to lead the monster this way. Mm-hmm. And he says that, and he takes action to do that. But then after Wonder Woman and Superman show up, he just hides.
Yeah,
we don't get any.
Take it easy.
And he doesn't just hide. He literally just vanishes from the film until he shoots a grenade at the thing, which is bad because Batman, even if he's not fighting at the time, is doing something. Show us that he's doing something.
I mean, there was one moment when Superman left the fight to go save Lois that it showed Batman running away from Doomsday with his grappling hooks from building the building until
and then he puffed in smoke, and then he was gone for the rest of the fight until the fucking end. Mm-hmm. Which I know wasn't a whole lot more time, maybe 5 minutes, but when one of your title characters, who you decided to put in front of the one who this is his second film, disappears for 5 minutes in the final fight, and there's no explanation of what he's doing because he's super fucking smart. So show that he's planning something. Mm-hmm. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
but
he
just vanishes.
Yeah, the only hint that we have that he's going to be using the grenade launcher is before they even start the fight with Doomsday, we see Batman with the gun loading in a grenade. And then it wasn't until the end of the fight when we see him actually using it. So it's like
The only other time you're hinted at it is when he like has a stumble and Doomsday's coming at him and he grabs the grenade launcher off the ground because he dropped it and then puffs into smoke. And that's when he disappears. So like, okay, something's gonna happen with the grenade launcher, he's gotta figure out something to do. Show us that, please, because it's Batman. And I like to see I want to see a smart Batman. That'd be cool. Don't just have him fucking disappear for the rest of a fucking fight. Because that feels like a cop-out. Because I'm Batman, I showed up at the end of the fight. It just...
Batman.
pretty much is what it felt like at the end. Is, I'm Batman!
And we need to get the Justice League together.
Yeah, God, dude. Just that entire thing. And then the throwaway thing, which I guess, if we're going to talk about it, you can put the spoiler up for a second, because I need to talk about it.
Spoilers.
Just for 2 seconds. The end scene with the dirt rising just is a bigger slap in the face seeing what happens in Justice League.
Yeah, like the dirt rising means nothing now with Justice League.
It means 0.
Yeah.
Which sucks because you cut out one of the most important like parts, which again, I said Reign of Superman does this like whole thing. The death of Superman and Reign of Superman. Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen does this arc far better and awesomely. And it's just kind of thrown to the side. And also, I do appreciate the scene where we see Steppenwolf a little bit because it kind of hints at the future.
Yeah, the best thing that they did is they kind of established Steppenwolf and his army of flying monstrosities for the Justice League film. But
it's only in the extended cuts.
I mean, they also we get to see the flying monstrosities in the theater release, but not
and the Omega symbol.
Yes.
Which is like, ooh, it's Darkseid.
Yeah, so just makes me think, when are we going to see Justice League 2, where they defeat Darkseid in the last... They see Darkseid in the last 45 minutes of the film, and they defeat him in the last 15. In the 3.5-hour long movie that it's going to be Justice League 2.
I'll argue that with the fact that they will probably set all this up after Flashpoint, which is apparently going to be Flash's first film. Solo film is going to be fucking Flashpoint. They're still going ahead of this, and I've talked about this over the year plus this podcast has been on the air. I've talked about the fact that jumping directly into Flash's story, Flashpoint, is a terrible, terrible idea. Because we have no context or, like, real growth with Barry Allen outside of Justice League, which isn't enough. But they're going to probably use that to establish a new Superman and to bring in Robert Pattinson's Batman. Robert Pattinson.
Batfleck and Robert Pattinson. Aw, yeah.
They all get the name, you know?
So which Batman suit do you think Robert Pattinson is going to have to wear? Like, you know about that tradition, right? Every Batman actor wears the previous Batman actor's suit.
At least once?
At least once.
Who should he wear?
Yeah, except for, like, the weird one was Affleck.
Bales? Fair. But he's also a different build entirely from any other Batman. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But, like, I'm going to say this. The fact that this film and Justice League and everything else is kind of irrelevant and will probably, more than likely with Birds of Prey, close out this with Man of Steel. Because that'll almost probably close out all of these connected films outside of Wonder Woman 1984 that are in this current timeline of the universe, and we're going to get a fucking reboot of the universe in Flashpoint, which feels way too soon. Because this is only 2016 when this came out, right?
My thought is it's not going to be a literal Flashpoint. Like, maybe that might happen a little bit, but they have to try and explain the time travel dream a little bit in some way. So they're like, well, what's the only Barry Allen comic where he time travels? Flashpoint. So
which is horribly wrong because he travels time. Literally, they just started Flash year one, which has him after he just gets his powers, he ends up accidentally running to the future, and he meets future him. And future him's like, all right, so yeah, there's gonna be a lot of questions. I'm gonna mentor you for a little bit, but I can't do much because time travel. I'm gonna teach you how to run and get back to your time. Is what he does, and it's really cool. But Flash time travels all the fucking time. Just watch the Flash show. Whenever they back themselves into a corner, Barry's like, I'm just gonna run as fast as I can to go back in time. Or I need to figure out information from the future. So I'm going to run to the future. It happens all the fucking time. And the fact that they're going to jump into a time-traveling story because Flashpoint is the most notoriety one is, one, a disservice to the fans of The Flash, and two, is a disservice to the universe already established. I get it. Affleck is out. Henry Cavill is out from what it looks like. I would like to see him return to Superman because I really feel at the end of, especially after seeing this film extended cut and having watched Justice League, he does feel like Superman now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they definitely established that far better. But it just feels wrong. And this film, and I'm not going to grade this film off of any of that. This doesn't affect my grade of the film. It just feels like all of this is so pointless now.
I get that. Which, we've kind of explained that already, so we're now...
No, that's fair. We can move on.
Yeah, I kind of want to move on.
No, that's fair. I feel like that was the end point. That was where we're going to end up as the end point.
Because we're not going to time travel. We're not going to go over this a third time, or a fourth time, or a fifth time, and have to kill our relatives again and again and again. So,
and your friends' relatives again and again and again and again.
So, Dev, I'm going to give you here 10 popcorn kernels. How many of these popcorn kernels are you going to give to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Extended Edition?
Can we technically rate both of them?
If you want to, sure.
Because I would give the theatrical cut still probably a 5.
Okay.
If that, maybe a 4, honestly. But this, with that, it feels like a fleshed out film, but it's too fleshed out, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Which hinders it in a lot of ways, but it still feels like a film with the extended cut. So, like, I would give like a 4.5 maybe to the original cut, but the extended cut I think will get like a 6.5.
Okay. See, for me, it's actually kind of weird because I wasn't even thinking that low, oddly enough. Like, I was thinking...
I just really didn't like... I watched it in theaters the day it released with all my friends, and everyone's like, that wasn't that bad. I'm like...
It was kind of bad.
The fuck are you on? Affleck was cool. Yeah, like, Ben Affleck's Batman was cool in ways, but he fucking murdered people!
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that last goon in that goon fight that he did, he was just, no, please! And he, like, snaps his neck with the knife that's in his shoulder blade, like...
Fucking Christ. Like, that scene where Batman, he has a double Gatling gun, for one, on his
on his Batmobile, and just completely obliterates a truck, and then it spins out, and it, like...
Well, not just that. I was talking about when he had the Batjet, and it has that spinning double Gatling guns. Guys, do Gatling guns, and that spin. And then it spins, which is... over the top in all the ways that guns don't need to be in film. It look cool. It kind of looks cool, but how practical is it really? What is it doing to help with your things? You could have just mounted 2 Gatling guns and had the same effect.
That's true.
And probably be able to aim a little bit consistently.
See, the whole idea isn't to be able to aim to kill; it's to aim to destroy. You're just putting bullets down.
I will say there's a bit of there's also in the extended cut a little bit more explaining why Batman's so brutal, like in the sense of just like lines from random people being like, yeah, the Bat's just been there's a new kind of mean in him right now. Which, okay, I like that little bit of setup as to why he's like this. Still don't like that he is like this.
Yeah.
Because not only does he just mercilessly kill goons, he also sends them to prison knowing they're going to die if he brands them.
Yeah, like, and why is it that Batman's brand is a death mark now? Why does he brand
it's sort of
people?
established. It's sort of explained in this is that it's really Lex trying to set this up. Lex had that the Russian, which I think is supposed to be uh,
Either way, we're
RPG or something like that. Like this Russian goon who Batman in the comics kind of knew he couldn't let live. Like he couldn't let live, but he couldn't kill. So what he does is they fight until he beats him up. RPG Beast, I think it's something like that. And as he leaves the room, he locks the room up and hides the door so no one can find him. So he kind of kills him, but in the only way Batman can kill someone in the comics, in like a mainline Batman comic, which is by not doing anything. In this one, he fucking shoots a fuel tank on the back of the dude's back,
and it
of a
explodes into a fireball.
flamethrower, and it explodes.
He's somehow able to move faster than the explosion too, which is kind of cool, I guess. So, but yeah, my rating now, because we're getting sidetracked again, not because of
Sorry.
you. I'm just saying in general. I'm gonna give this movie, if the theatrical cut, I was probably gonna give like a 5.5, maybe a 6. I'll say 5.5, actually. And then for the extended cut, it was better. It made more sense. So that one's more of a 6.5. Probably.
Wow, so the theatrical cut gets a solid 6.5. Not even a rounded 2 or anything like that. That is a solid 6.5. Not an average, not a round 2.
Just 6.5.
It is very rare that you and I have hit solid on that.
All right.
Because even the regular Batman v Superman movie would have been an average of 5.
So.
Damn. Which it goes to say something that it is a better film with the extended cut.
Yeah, absolutely is.
All right.
So if you're gonna watch this movie, plan like 4 hours of your day, and then watch the
Yeah,
extended.
because you're also going to want to take a break, go to the bathroom, cook up some popcorn. I cooked up 2 bags of popcorn because this film is stupid long. Like I got through the first hour, had a bag of popcorn. Like I got like 40 minutes in, got a bag of popcorn, came back. Got to like the 2-hour mark. I'm like, oh, I need another snack.
Yeah, I was sitting here because I watched the film before I went to the movie, and to the Joker film, and I was just sitting here like, I need to go see this movie soon. How much longer does this movie have? Oh, okay, another 2 hours. I could still catch a film in time. How much longer does this movie have? Oh, another hour still. Okay, whatever. How much does this movie have? Still a half hour. Oh, fuck. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's long, and that's his biggest problem is it drags. So yeah.
So, all right, let's get into our next movie then, which I guess Chasing said chaotic gunfire seems more Joker than Batman, so it's a good thing we're talking about Joker now.
Yeah.
So this movie.
Where to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's just say it's a 2-hour long film. With
2 hour, 2 minute.
Towards,
Crime drama thriller.
yeah, I'd say. It's
That's at least what IMDb calls it. Rated R.
crime drama thriller.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I definitely see thriller, and I see drama. I guess crime because bad things happen. So, like ultimately, what I want to say about this movie is I liked it. I did actually enjoy this film. Not the in the sense of like, oh man, did you see how epic and awesome and majorly cool this film was? No, that's
You like it because it's thought provoking?
It's partially thought provoking. It's genuinely well shot and put together.
Oh God, yeah.
The music and the soundtrack is amazing, and the acting by freaking Joaquin Phoenix is amazing to me. Like,
Joaquin Phoenix is crazily good in this film.
yeah, I was
Like,
very
he,
hesitant at first for him, but after watching it, oh man, ooh man,
like I would put it like this. So, because I can explain his Joker in a way that doesn't like spoil the film, but also puts him in perspective in the Joker, like in perspective to other Jokers. So let's say you have the triangle of Joker. Okay,
yes,
there each point is a different form of Joker. Okay, from the different ages, you have the Golden Age Joker, which is the crime lord Joker, which would be like your Jack Nicholson, sort of your Jared Leto. From what we saw, he was more of
kinda,
a
yeah.
crime lord. He doesn't have. There's not a lot of him in that film, so that's the closest you can kind of put him towards.
Hmm.
He's not really chaotic, but he's not really a clown. He's not really a trickster either, so he's closest to the crime lord, other than Jack Nicholson. You have your Silver Age, which is your trickster, your Caesar Romero from the Batman '60s, who's more of a jokester. He's not really doing crimes and stuff like that. It was a weird time in comic books. And then you have Bronze Age, your Chaos Incarnate, your Heath Ledger. And let's just put in the center of all this the balanced Joker, right? The one who embodies it all, your Mark Hamill Joker, who is, without a doubt, the most balanced Joker
Hmm.
in any form. Because he's a crime lord, he's chaotic, but also he plays tricks.
I
So
mean,
he is the center of that triangle.
he would be the one that I would call the clown prince of crime. Like,
Yes, he is the title of the clown prince of crime because he's a clown. He runs criminal organizations, and he's just the king. He is the prince of
he's royalty,
chaos.
yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, keep going.
Where I would put Joaquin Phoenix is sort of in a circling around Hamill, but never really landing somewhere. He orbits around the Hamill sphere, let's say.
I would at no point do I see this Joker as a crime boss.
I can argue that in spoilers.
Okay,
That's there.
sure.
And I will say that's the weakest point of the triangle for him. If anything, maybe not a full orbit, but like a pendulum under between Caesar Romero and Ledger area, but also a little bit of that because of some of the stuff in the film that takes place towards the end. And that's the only reason why he would be maybe closer to Hamill,
Sure.
but not center. Like I could never put him as center Joker. That spot's been locked in for the better part of 20 plus years.
Okay.
But that's how I would describe his Joker. He definitely leans more toward like he's if Cesar Romero's Joker and Ledger's Joker combined.
Sure, absolutely. But what, like, in all honesty, I don't really care how he compares to other Jokers in this moment.
No, I'm not
So,
comparing them.
I mean,
I'm trying to explain it to people who maybe haven't seen it yet and are curious how the Joker would fit into that. Because, like, in my opinion, comparing the Jokers is weird because they're all very unique to a
Well,
different
yeah, I
adaptation.
wasn't meaning like.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
want to
That's
get
fair.
back more on track of just this movie in
That's fair.
general.
Fair
Because
enough.
one thing that I've noticed, not to like call you out or anything, Dev, but when we have more comic-based themed movies, we talk more about comics than we do the movie. So, at least like comic history in comparison to the movie. So,
Fair. It's just also it's a topic I know a lot about, so I can add a lot of info to it.
I
so.
understand that. So, like, but in the case of this film, whenever I was watching this, there was many things that I want, like, that caught my attention. Ultimately, the biggest thing is just Joaquin Phoenix himself. I really enjoyed what he did. I liked his slow descent into madness, and I love how it was portrayed in this film. Be it just the simple motion, like this was definitely a movie with an older style, an older feel, and ooh, sorry, ooh, burpee. older style, older feel, and it definitely, I liked what it did. It was a slower, more tense build up towards what was going to happen, and everything that happened felt good. Like, it felt for a reason, except for the fact that the Joker himself is unreliable in this movie because he's crazy.
Yes.
So, like, it's hard to tell what's real, it's hard to tell what's not. But all in all, that's kind of my favorite parts about this film, because it's putting you in the headspace of Joker as he's going through his life. So, and I love where it gets some of the inspirations, too.
My biggest problems with this film, though, are some of the ways it tackles certain topics.
Okay.
It's no unknown fact. I feel like every time this happens in a film, I have to talk about it because I can relate to it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Mental disorders.
Yes.
I deal with a few. Let me tell you, it's always really weird when the idea that someone with a mental disorder is portrayed as just being fucking nuts. Because that's easier. Like, and I like, there's this idea of challenging the system,
Mm-hmm.
which is fair. You should challenge systems in a way that doesn't end with chaos incarnate. But I also said this before the film, I didn't want to really sympathize with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of them trying to make me sympathize with the Joker.
I say yes at first, but yeah.
Yes, and that's my problem. The entire start of this film is you, until like a certain point, is it trying to make you sympathize with him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when you get the first real oh shit moment, which for me I saw for miles away, but when it happens, it's still like, shit. I still felt like the entire first, like almost first half, if plus maybe first 2/3 of the film, are trying to set this character as being somewhat sympathetic, and you want to sympathize as to why he's gotten to where he is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, kind of okay, but at the same time, no, because this is the fucking Joker. Like, I get that one of the most important lines in Joker history is "one bad day."
Yeah. Just takes one bad day.
It does. It takes one bad day, which is his philosophy on things, which was his excuse for why he is his way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, yeah, they kind of go about that, but in such a sympathetic way
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't quite work for me. Because, like, one bad day to me is, because the whole thing of that line, like, I'm going to tangent for just a second to explain that.
It's killing
in comics,
Joke.
it's Killing Joke, where, you know, he had just shot Barbara. He's trying to turn Jim Gordon to, like, evil, like, to kill him. But even Gordon doesn't break. He's like, arrest the Joker. Do not kill him.
Mm-hmm.
To Bruce, to Batman when he's running in there. And Batman hasn't broken yet to kill the Joker. And Joker's like, it just is supposed to take one bad day. Because that's his philosophy. The idea is that his excuse for being who he is that he had one bad day. What that real day was in the comics, God knows. There's so many backstories. He like he says, he likes multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Makes things interesting. And we kind of get a little bit that in this film. But it's never, like, the society, for what it does to him, I feel excuses his actions too much, rather than show us that, like, what he does shouldn't be excused.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, what he does is still wrong on so many levels. It's just, it feels like it's trying to play it too safe.
Okay. I could see that. With me, I enjoyed what they did. Like, I liked how in the beginning they tried to make you sympathize with him, because it helps make the turn of his events, like, and when he changes to the dark person that he becomes, more impactful. At least in my opinion. Because, like,
well, that's fair. It does make it more impactful if you attach yourself to him. Yes,
I guess in a way, yeah. But, like, the way I see this film is, like, sure, his whole motto is it's one bad day and then things can go whatever the way they go. But like, I kind of think they weren't necessarily like, sure, the way that the crowd sympathize at the end and like prioritize him is essentially like weird to see, but I've boiled that down to the unreliable narrator portion of this movie, because this is a movie all told through his perspective, through about his life, and we see that he's insane and he's already been making things up. So it could just very well be that he's imagining this situation where people are idolizing him for what he's done. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't entirely think that like the people would essentially do what they did at the end of the film. Like, I don't think that the police would ignore everything going on just to get this one man into prison, in all honesty. Like, so
They would if he killed an American talk show icon at that time.
I guess yes. But so the way I'm ultimately thinking about it is they're trying to make you sympathize with him, yes, at first, but then when he changes, it's supposed to make us think about it too, because anything can happen to anybody. So,
And that's fair. But I think the problem is, I don't know if the Joker should stand on his own.
mm-hmm.
Because you end up in this problem where people like myself who... I'm not the biggest Batman nerd, but I know a lot about it, and I've read enough Batman comics and watched the Batman the Animated Series to understand the Joker is not a character you should sympathize with.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his actions. Without someone else to be the duality to it, the Joker then has to be two sides to the coin. Which the problem with that is that the Joker shouldn't be two sides to the coin.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of see this moment itself too, because he's not really the Joker until the end of the film.
No, he's not.
And the way I see that is especially through the cinematography, because there's a lot of moments. Sorry, something popped up in chat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he doesn't even know because he's told so many lies.
Yeah, essentially, I agree with that, Chasing. But the way I kind of, oh, jeez, where was I going with that? Could you backtrack for me a little bit? What we were talking about?
I was talking about the fact that, for me, the duality thing, like having Joker have duality.
Oh, yes. Okay. And then I was talking about the reason why he was this way. And he wasn't the real Joker to me until the very end of the film. And the reason I thought that was all because of how they shot the film in cinematography. Because there are many, many moments, and it's one of my favorite things about this film, is its slow pacing with the center focus on him. Like, there was a lot of aesthetic shots where he is center frame, just completely center, and just nothing on either side except for just him in thought as something is happening, or like him slowly being zoomed in upon while he's center frame, or like, and that's a very common thing, is like when someone's when they're deep in thought, they're lost in themselves or they're lost in a moment. It's supposed to be them focused on a task while they're center frame, and it's not until the end of the film when he's finally like revealing who he really is and kind of letting loose, that his framing changes from center frame to thirds, like more normal filmmaking is one person on the third of the frame, and he's standing to the side of all of his work in comparison to just being himself. So like,
and that's fair. And no, and I appreciate, and this isn't me digging at the cinematography of this film at all, because goddamn, this film is shot really well, and Joaquin Phoenix fucking acts his goddamn heart out, and is arguably, live action wise, top 2 performances of the Joker.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would at least have to be number 2 for me.
Like, it's very tough at this point in time for me, because Heath Ledger, very, very, very good Joker.
The thing is, they're just 2 very different versions of the Joker, so you're comparing an apple to an orange.
Exactly.
You're comparing a someone who's had one bad day to a dog chasing cars.
Which,
Um,
honestly, there's another thing that we're not seeing here. Did you know that this is also a reference to a Martin Scorsese film?
two.
Technically.
No, it's yeah, isn't it two?
It's more one.
Taxi Driver and another one. There's another film that it also takes a lot of inspiration from. I can't remember.
I wasn't thinking Taxi Driver. I mean, Taxi Driver maybe for the how it was shot and styled, but the one that I was more thinking of was what was it?
Comedian?
Yes, I think.
Okay, yeah. Those are the two films that, like, are what inspired this film. To be at least the styling of this film, which, yeah, I 100% see that shit. Because Todd Phillips talks about how Martin Scorsese influenced the Joker in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like
he was actually supposed to be a producer at one point. We talked about that last year. Just remember that.
Yeah, like I get the Baby Driver thing or the Taxi Driver thing because just how the mannerisms and stuff. But at the same time, a lot of the storytelling and the progression of the film was a mix of the Comedian movie and Killing Joke. And a lot of people I hear have complaints that this movie is barely a tie-in to Batman and the Joker. Like it was kind of an afterthought. Like it was more a reference to the Martin Scorsese style of filmmaking than it was a Batman movie. And then they thought, well, we could make it into a modern, more DC-ish Batman movie by adding in the Joker, being that in one of his storylines he was a comedian. So, like, I've heard those complaints. But me, myself, I would more or less say that I just not thinking about what the references could have been or where these things came from. Like, I just enjoyed this movie. Like, sure, it's not good. I mean, it's not bad. But it's like it's more of a thought-provoking film than it is a.
Oh no, I agree with that.
Than it is just sit and entertain and excite yourself kind of movie. Like
it's good to have thought-provoking films in cinema.
Exactly, this is a thought-provoking film where you're supposed to feel uneasy and tense, and like it does that very well. Especially like audio and the sound design and the music was. What the second favorite thing to me in this movie, just because it just was very tense a lot of the times, and you could just feel the moments, and you could see it with the acting from Joaquin Phoenix of just when things were shifting and everything was changing, and whew, it was intense, and I would definitely see this movie again if I had the money to, and wasn't too busy.
Yeah, I was walking home from the theater because I went to the theater nearby, and as I walked, I'm like, if I had time, I would watch that again. Mm-hmm. Just because I feel there's a lot that I need to, like...
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Because I swear also, partway through this film, I started to see a countdown happen. Because I saw 7 pop up, and then a few scenes later, there was a 6. And, like, part of my brain was like, is there a countdown happening?
You could be right. You very well
could be. But I've only seen it once, so I wasn't able to catch the rest of them, because also the rest of this film's also dragging you in.
Mm-hmm. And it's ultimately just really hard to say because what's real and what isn't is hard to decide in this film. So,
yes.
I mean, ultimately, there were moments when I was easily could tell things were not as they were supposed to be. A lot of it being like the love interest story, but
yeah. That was one of those things that I was like, hey, there's a train. Like, while everyone else is standing on the track. I'm in the theater like, there's a train, guys. We're standing on the tracks. Mm-hmm. Step off the track. Guys, train comes in, audience. We're here.
God.
Seriously?
Yeah. Like, I think...
Really?
Do we want to get into ratings and then hop into spoilers here?
I think at this point we need to.
Because I definitely want to talk more about her and that situation.
So I'm giving you 10 popcorns. Where are you putting it?
I am putting this movie at An 8.
Hey, that's exactly where I was gonna fucking put it. We had 2
It's been a while.
solids tonight. Holy shit! When's the last time we've done that?
I don't know. It's been a while.
It really has.
I just remember a lot of our beginning conversations, mainly where it was us that ends with each other, where we're just fighting, like, no, this is good, no, this is bad, no, this is good. What's the end result? Same exact score.
There's a lot of early solids. As of late, our debates have actually probably been more accurate of where our votes have ended up. Wow, this this today, it very much was that you have to you can appreciate this film for what it is, but at the same time there are certain things that you need to take away from it. Like before we go into spoilers, the idea this film has a lot of controversy around it, because one, you talk about for a moment the Colorado shooting, the guy dressed up as the Joker.
Yeah, he was inspired. I mean, did you read the articles about police releasing threat articles about how they thought that there were going to be shootings at these theaters because this group of people that willingly call themselves the incels, except that means that they're involuntarily celibate. So they've radicalized themselves all because of the Joker and all because of this guy in Colorado. So people are like, oh no, there's going to be more mass shootings because of a Joker film, because of these men.
The thing I'm going to take away from this film, though, is that this is a movie of what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. It's
poorly acted. And in spoilers, we'll talk of why I have some issues with the film towards the end.
Okay.
But just know that don't be like the Joker. I know it shouldn't. I know it shouldn't have to be said, but don't be like the Joker. He's not a good person. There's nothing good about him. He's a terrible piece of shit who hurts those around him, because it's the thing that makes him feel alive.
For that matter, don't also be like Batman. Batman's not a good person either.
No, he does good actions, but
just as bad. All right, so let's get into spoilers here. Well, now
here we go.
Yeah. So anybody who does not wish to be spoiled on the Joker, walk away.
Walk away if you're watching the live stream. Pause the video if you're on YouTube.
So, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the kinda twist, the right in plain sight twist of the love interest,
which was brutally obvious.
I thought so too.
But my audience that I was with, they went, I heard gasps when they realized what was happening. I was like, for real?
Yeah, the main thing that caught me was, honestly, I know people in real life who kind of had the same tendencies as the Joker, where they have one interaction positive with a girl, and then they start to have affection towards that girl, and
fun fact, that's just not being able to read people.
Yeah.
Weird relatable note for me. Through high school, I've had that happen, myself, because I can't read a fucking room.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for me, though, and fun fact, if you deal with this, here's a tip for you: learn how to identify that. Because so you don't end up doing the stupid shit that he does in this film.
Yeah.
It's why I'm also a blunt motherfucker when it comes to relationships / love life related stuff. I bluntly have to be like, all right, I'm not picking up any signals, right? Because I can't tell. I legitimately can't read that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So my brain doesn't process that correctly. But I'm able to identify that. And yes, maybe the Joker is able to identify these things. But that doesn't give you an excuse not to.
Yeah. But
is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And, so I realized, I spotted that right away. I was like, he has feelings for her, but he's also insane. So my thought was instantly, all of that has to be fake. As soon as she shows up at his house and was okay with him stalking her, I was like,
oh yeah, that was a tell.
Yeah, that was the tell. That was all you needed to know that this was all fake.
The other fun fact, is I don't think we ever hear her first name in the film,
I don't think so either.
which to me was the like confirmation. Like that first interaction, yeah, it kind of gives it away, but you can almost excuse it being like, okay, maybe she's just weird too, right? Maybe she's the first Harley Quinn kind of thing, right?
I was thinking
Like,
about
like on the same level of crazy. But the problem that I had during the next 2 to 3 scenes she's in is we never get a name, and it bugged me. I'm like, this is fake. There's no name because he doesn't know her name. That's the thing. He never asked her name in the scene in the elevator, so we don't know her name. So when it comes down to that moment where like she says your name is your name Arthur, you're Arthur, right? But we still never learn her name, which to me was the selling point that this is fake because he doesn't have a name for her.
Yeah, I guess that wasn't it for me. In all honesty, like for me, it was just the whole like the smile and the hey, you're kind of cute kind of thing, and then followed by her reaction to him stalking her, and then immediately followed by her reaction to him busting in the door and just making out with her. Like all of that to me felt too good to be true, and I was like, so it is true it is too good to be true. It's not real. It's all made up. And then it was confirmed when he walks into her apartment and she freaks out. And I was like, yeah, this isn't.
You want to know another scene another two tells that there were for it as well? The scene after he lays down in bed and his mom was in the hospital still, and he's holding the pillow. He kind of smooshes the pillow.
I mean,
And
one
two,
thing they did is they focused a lot on the door.
yes, that too. Yes. Two would be the fact that we never see them interact with the girl, the daughter.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's never around when.
Yeah. Which is also a big tell. And for me, maybe I wasn't able, like, again, not able to read people. Maybe she was just weird, was my brain at first. It was everything else, the little, like, other breadcrumbs. Because it's the Joker film, you expect people to be a little weird. The city literally starts to be like, yeah, this clown prince dude
Yeah.
killed 3 millionaires. Awesome person. Which is a very Gotham thing to happen, I will say.
True, because there is a whole branch of, like, Joker supporters all over the place. Like, there are clowns that dress up to support Joker. But, like I said, it's just the whole fact that he's unreliable. Like he literally fantasizes about being on the television show before he gets on the television show.
I agree with you there. He is an unreliable source, but I do believe the city might have been similar to that in the sense, like, I don't think he became a pariah like he might think he did. But he might have incited things, and maybe there were handfuls of them who noticed, but not to that extent.
Yeah,
I think is the big thing. Like he turned things up on the grandiose scale, and instead he did. His brain saw things bigger than what they might have been. In reality, and why he probably also connected certain things together. Because, like, let's be honest. Fun fact in the comics. Fun fact: the mayor character, who I don't think we find out he's Thomas Wayne in the trailers. I can't remember or not because I didn't watch a lot of the trailers for this film.
I didn't watch any, so I have no idea.
But Thomas Wayne is in this film, and is potentially the Joker's father. He's not at all, which I felt was a really good way of executing that in such a bad day formula. But the idea that he feels like he is the reason why Thomas died makes sense because he wants to take credit for that. Yeah, it could have happened on the same night. I mean, but the odds of them being connected, probably not, because let's be honest, if you know a thing about... Fun fact, Thomas and Martha get killed in an alleyway, and Bruce watches, because the robber called Joe Chill tries to steal the pearls off of Martha's neck. we had to see this origin twice this weekend.
We did. Which is did the mugger always steal the pearls off of her neck? Was that always a thing, or no?
Yeah, the pearls are a huge part of the origin story.
Okay, just making sure, because I've never really known, but this last two films really made a point to reference that the pearls necklace was shattered when
The pearl necklace shattering was important.
Yeah. So.
Because that's the moment Martha dies. Because he's asking, like in the comics, Joe is asking for the pearls. Mm-hmm. Kills Thomas, and Martha's still like, just leave my boy alone. She's freaking out, and Joe's like, just give me the fucking pearls, lady. And she doesn't right away, so he pops her, and when she falls back, the pearls snap.
Okay.
The pearls. I could be
It's
that they were added during your... Yeah, it's important to the comics.
I was about to say, it's more of a symbolic reference of her dying than it is the fact that she's actually dying.
Yeah, and even in the cartoons, too, the pearls happen.
Okay. It's a symbolic breaking of innocence, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. And the Joker taking credit for that, okay, kind of makes sense.
Didn't that happen in one of the original, like, wasn't it a Keaton movie?
Batman 89... Joe Chill is Jack So-and-so, is an alias of Jack. Can't remember Jack Nicholson's full character's name. It's Jack something, who becomes the Joker. But he is the one who murders them.
Yeah.
And the way that, it's identified is that he still has that stupid grin.
I mean, I thought it was a saying, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
There's that too, but, like, he also has that, like, he has the... Like, they essentially cast someone to look like a young Jack Nicholson who smiles. Which is a real tell. But for me, it's just like... I feel like it's a good setup for potentially having Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker for Robert Pattinson's Batman.
I mean... Joaquin Phoenix has already come out and said that he is open to more roles as the Joker, and that it may be a possibility in the future that he's coming back.
I'm fine with that, because he does a fantastic job as the Joker. Mm-hmm. And I will say, from this point forward, I don't want to sympathize with him, and I won't. And if they try to make me sympathize with him, I'm going to be fucking upset.
I don't think they're going to, unless unless the next Batman film is... Robert Pattinson figuring out, like, being a true detective with something that involves the Joker, who is Joaquin Phoenix. Like, and then the only reason why I could see that they're going for the sympathetic route is because they're supposed to be one of the same person, essentially. So
they're one bad day, one good day away from being the other.
Exactly.
Which fun fact, that's kind of what the concept of Batman White Knight is, because Joker takes down the Batman as a good guy. It's a really awesome comic I would recommend. But, like, the concept is that they are both sides of the coin. Like, when one kind of flips, the other has to flip too, in a way. Or they both push the other one to the extremes.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more of the Joker from this film. I think they do a great job with when the Joker happens, the Joker happens.
I'm half expecting what they're going... Like, this is me kind of guessing ahead of time instead of talking about spoilers. What I'm thinking, just in the future, is they're going to go for almost like the Batman v Superman story in the comic books, but without the Superman fight, where it's Batman starts becoming a thing, and because Batman starts becoming a thing, the Joker, who's locked up in the mental institution, kind of is like, oh yeah, I remember wanting to do things, and like being motivated by the Batman to become the Joker again.
That'd be cool. I like that idea. It would make sense, and you would also be able to steal a little bit away from the stuff of Batman Dark Knight Returns.
Disturbed by the sparkly vampire mask. Hey, he's done a lot more than Twilight in the past couple of years. I don't know what it is, but...
Listen, the other thing, too, is people didn't think Christian Bale's Batman would be good. No one thought any of the... People thought Michael Keaton as Batman was a terrible idea. but arguably he's the best live action Batman we've had. You know, Mr. Mom playing Batman? That seems like a dumb idea. Oh, how wrong were we? Extremely. Because he's the closest to being able to, like, in my opinion, Michael Keaton's Batman is the most balanced between Bruce Wayne and Batman compared to any of the other Batmans so far, except for maybe extended cut Batman from Batman v Superman. I feel like he does a really good job of balancing Batman v Bruce a little bit, but too much of his Bruce scenes end up being Batman scenes anyways.
I actually liked Batfleck in Justice League when he's one-on-one with Wonder Woman, and he's like they're working on putting back his shoulder into place, and he's like barely moving, and it's like this man next to these gods, and it's like I liked that moment for Batfleck, but
yeah,
the rest,
yeah, no fault of his own in my opinion, because he
directing.
great. It really is. And Justice League was a train wreck. So, old Bruce, that would be really fucking awesome.
Who's going to be old Batman again? The voice actor who plays?
Kevin Conroy is going to be playing an older Batman in Crisis on Infinite Earths this year for DC's Arrowverse.
Okay.
Which is such a great homage. I fucking love that they're doing that. And he actually took a picture with... what's his name? Freddie something. The guy from Boy Meets World who plays Terry McGinnis. Okay. He voices Terry McGinnis. They took a picture together, and people theorized, what if he shows up as Terry? Which would be the fucking dopest shit ever. But we'll see. Anyways, tangenting back to spoilers on this. Yeah, I don't know. It's still there's some mental health stuff, and like the fact, like, even if it's just in his own head, the movie turning him into something that's praised still feels a little wrong.
I mean, he's still arrested at the end and in jail.
Oh, yeah. No, he's in Arkham. There's a big difference. Security there is fucking shit.
I guess.
Obviously by the tail end of that film.
Yeah, which, it's hard, like, that movie, it's hard to say what really happened, what didn't happen, and in what order, and how he was seeing it all to begin with. Because, think about this with me. At the very beginning of the film, we get to see a flashback with the Joker in solitary confinement bashing his head into a glass window as he's talking to his counselor. At the very end of the film, we see him in Arkham, in all white, talking to the same counselor. Just in a
different counselor.
Well, essentially.
Very similar. They're
essentially the same counselor. Which
which I appreciate is what they did is they casted two people who have very, very similar facial features. Like the way their facial structure is set up and the way they talk is very similar, and it's supposed to draw that parallel.
Yeah, exactly. So
well done.
Yeah, so
like, that is one of the best scenes because it is the moment that you're like, what was real and what wasn't.
Exactly. So it's hard to decide. Like, I'm sure most of this film was real. However, to what degree? Because, like, the way I see it is, sure, he beats up and kills the three people at the train station. But at the same time, the way we see it is we see a revolver shoot 9 bullets into 3 people. And it's like, how real can that be? Followed by...
Yeah, I counted bullets during that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, so he misfired one in his apartment. Presume maybe he reloaded it. So he has 6 max. Because that was just a standard sub-nose.
I wasn't even counting like the bullets in the beginning. I was just counting the bullets in that one scene. Because I'm assuming, based on what I'm assuming a standard revolver is, it's 6 guns in the barrel. I mean, sure, some revolvers have up to 8. But this is young age, early like weapons. So I'm thinking 6. And
well, no, they had 8s during older than this time. The reason why I don't think it is like higher than a 6 is due to the fact that it's a stub nose, and you usually want those a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a large cylinder for your bullets.
Mm-hmm. But the bullets, the way that it works out in the scene is we have one go off into one guy, we have two go off into another. The third guy gets shot in the leg and runs a cart down, and then they're both outside, and then he shoots 4 more bullets into him.
It is, yeah, because it's the one bullet in the dude's head,
away.
2 into the other guy, 1 in the guy going away, and
one as he's about to climb
more.
the steps.
Yeah.
And then 3 as he's at the base of the steps.
Yes.
So that was 8.
Count 'em with me, 8 bullets. Which
Could
is
be
more than a revolver should have.
Yeah, it's possible, depending on the brand, that this revolver does have 8 bullets in it. But just that alone, it's like, just the like emphasis put on that scene was like, okay, that's partially not real. Part of that's not real. So then the next scene that part of me thinks is not real is like, we obviously see him portraying himself in the crowd in his favorite TV show. And then we obviously see him falling in love with this girl who's not there. And then like, he's referencing all these other things throughout the film that just like, they're not present, or if they are present, they're at weird times, or like there's weird moments where like, is this phone call actually happening the way it's supposed to be? And like, it's just hard to say what's what in what situations.
Things I think are real, all right? Because, did you watch Game Theory yet?
No, because I wanted to watch the film first.
Fair. I watched the film first, and then I ended up seeing that Game Theory had a thing about it. I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out real quick, because I did. Same line of thinking that you're thinking right now is some of the things they talk about, which is awesome. Cool. You're picking up some of the themes that are obviously in this film. The big way that he determines the like differentiating moments is the reactions from people around him.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have third party reactions to it. So the reason why like a lot of the tail on the film more than likely is a mess of what is and what isn't real happening, and you kind of have to question the entire end, because that's when his medication he's no longer on happens. That entire chunk is potentially a mixed bag, but there are certain events in it that have to happen, that had to have happened. One, meeting Thomas Wayne, because he has some sort of vendetta, because if he didn't meet Thomas Wayne, he wouldn't find out about his adoption. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Which would mean he would never kill his mom, which was his last thing, right? And give up his name and why he would be called the Joker. The other thing is he does end up on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Has to. That has to have happened, because he does
Kill
shoot.
the guy. Yeah.
He does kill Robert De Niro's character in cold blood.
I was trying so hard to watch all of the TV screens as he was zooming out, because they kept showing it on different screens. Some of them went further than others, and I was like, on different screens, is he still alive? Or I didn't see anything, so. But
no, he was dead in all of them.
Yeah.
He was dead. He was killed, and the reason why you know it's real is because it's being covered by a ton of news sources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is your key to that this did happen.
Yeah.
Now, let's say, and in between there are parts that aren't so easy, clear cut, especially given some of the stuff we find out, like about the girlfriend and stuff like that, that aren't as clear cut, and they shouldn't be. They add to that mystery. The end part where he gets hit by the ambulance and gets out, I think that happens, but him getting up and him being at the center of a crowd doesn't.
Yes. I would agree with that. Like,
I think that's where it stops being real.
A lot of the moments is like when they put on the masks. As soon as there's a person with a mask, I'm pretty sure that's not real. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Joker mask in the killing of Thomas Wayne actually happens, but it's not because of the Joker.
No, he's not gonna wear. He's not gonna have the mask. I think that's the Joker putting himself there.
Yeah.
I think the mask happened and that was real. In certain situations, like the crowds and stuff like that, I think protests in Gotham would make sense during this time, especially given that, like, they also protect. One thing I sort of 50-50 on is a less nice Thomas Wayne. Not that Thomas Wayne is always a great guy, but he's always had Gotham's interest in heart.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really always portray that in this film. He talks about it during one scene, like, "Hey, I'm just here to help. I really am," which is very in his character. But the rest of it is, which I think is partially
It's
the
the
Joker.
narrator.
Yes.
It's because when you think about the situation, Thomas Wayne may be a good guy, yes, most of the time, but one, he's dealing with this man who was at his house and interacting with his child and then assaulted the security guard at his home.
No, that was Alfred.
Still. Like, that being said, I could totally see Thomas Wayne punching Joker in the
Without
face
a doubt.
for all of that stuff. So, like, I totally... And then, plus, we also get to see the alternate universe Flashpoint where Thomas Wayne becomes evil Batman, essentially. Not evil Batman, but, like, dark Batman. So...
He's evil now, trust me.
Okay. So, there's that side to Thomas Wayne as is, I feel. So, like, but once again, it's reliable narrator? I don't know.
Don't really know if he's reliable.
And the answer
Yes,
is he's not. Like...
Which is to add to the narration itself. But I think that's part of why it works and doesn't work for a lot of us. Is because it's supposed to be that way. It's just how it is. I don't know. It's supposed to make you question it, which it's good. I like films that let us question things. That's important. Do I agree with how some of the things are still executed? No. I still think this film is a film that you should at least see.
Yes.
Yes. Is it something that I want to see again? Unsure. Yes, but maybe not. Because also there are moments where I'm like, do I really want to put myself through that? Because it puts you through the ringer.
Yeah, like, when this movie, it was weird because there were definitely scenes that I felt oddly connected to. And it's because, like, with my stepmother, she is a woman who deals with depression and anxiety. And she is on a literal shit ton of medications for it. And it was terrible to see, like, the scene where the Joker is sitting there, or when Arthur is sitting there with his counselor, and all she tells him is, "You're on 7 different medications. One of those has to be helping, right?" And that just felt really, like, real to me. Like, I can see my own stepmother in that exact same situation with her psychiatrist not getting helped, because that's just the way that the system works sometimes. So, like, it's weird. Like, sure, there's definitely sympathetic moments for the Joker, but I think that's the whole point, is to kind of sympathize with him. So when he does his turn and he makes the wrong decision, it's more impactful. Because it's all about which decision he made, and he made the wrong one.
Yes, he does. 100% make the worst decision.
I mean, but at the same time, part of it's self-defense, depending on which decision you're thinking about. Another part of it's him just being crazy. It's weird. This whole movie's weird, but good. And I'm definitely going to watch it again. At some point in my life. It's going to happen. Probably within the next year. So.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. In that case, news? It's news.
News.
Let's move on into the news. Be news. So, news and wrap up. I would honestly say there's minimal news this week, but there's some news to be had. Oddly enough, some of it has to deal with our good buddy, this button, Martin Scorsese. The one that we were just referencing was an inspiration to this film. Yep, okay. Martin Scorsese has gone out and said that he doesn't see Marvel movies as cinema, saying that ultimately he feels that they are more theme parks than they are a movie going experience. Yeah, he said his direct quote was, "I don't see them. I tried, but that's not cinema. Honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't cinema of the human being trying to convey an emotional, philosophical experiences to another human being."
Which anyone who's watched them, and this
Psychology.
isn't a jab at Marcus and Scorsese. He's from a different time in cinema. Let's
Yes.
be honest. He really is. And it is a little gatekeeper-ish for him to say this. Because you can also point at things like, I don't know, 20 plus movies narrated, like threaded together, telling an epic Odyssey adventure that ends in Endgame. Or just go with the Iron Man story and you still have this fantastic story made. From just, if we're just doing Marvel alone, or Captain America's arc throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Seeing him go from the Soldier Boy and see his philosophy evolve over these films as he realizes that he can't just be Captain America to be able to help people, because they're like, he can't just be the guardian of the government. He is the guardian of the people. There's a lot to it,
Mm-hmm.
And to just be like, there, it doesn't convey psychological things. And if you expand that beyond just Marvel, Dark Knight, like, hello?
Mm-hmm. But he was talking about MCU films specifically.
I know on MCU films specifically, but even if you expand it beyond the MCU, and keeping it just in the MCU, there are so many good films in there that tell such great stories and that have such artistic notes to it that tell such unique stories to themselves. Like, and one of the biggest examples was James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Because James even talked about that. Like, and Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula, talked about the fact that, like, Guardians of the Galaxy is the heart and soul of James Gunn poured into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's every bit of him. His love, his hate, his feelings of regret, and his feelings of compassion for his fellow creatures, living creatures, because not just human beings. There's a talking raccoon. There's so much in that film that is beautiful and cinematic.
Like, there are moments when I agree with Scorsese, and there are moments when I don't. Because, like, there are definitely times when I am super fatigued with superhero movies, and I'm like, oh, great, we're going to go see another superhero film, or it's going to be this person who realizes the power was within them the whole time, and then, yeah. Like, that's not always the case, because, like, I've admitted to you that even though I do get bored of Marvel movies, there's always something good in each Marvel film. They always push the boundaries in some way. So, like, it's weird because I'm on the fence. And it's like, yes, some movies aren't quite that good. Other times they are really good. And like I would
Essentially, your scale is Endgame, Dark World. Everything else is somewhere in between.
I mean, even then, like, Endgame is, I wouldn't say it's like miles above the rest, because it's only good if you've seen Infinity War. If you haven't seen Infinity War, or even watching Endgame, but still, like,
But at the same time, Endgame, I think, is arguably the best comic book movie ever made.
I would agree with that too.
Into the Spider-Verse could maybe compete for that spot, and trying to say Dark Knight is the best comic book film, you're not grasping the concept of what Dark Knight was. It wasn't a comic book movie; it was a movie based off of comics. Is the best way to put that, because it's got comic things that it pulled in, but it's a movie, I guess, because people want to separate superhero films from regular films. But that doesn't make it like the best comic book movie, because in my opinion, comic book movies have a different standard than movie movies. Similar that a pirate movie or a western or a horror film or a comedy all have different sort of needs and things to be what it is.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
like, that's why I would say Endgame is the best fucking comic book movie ever. Um, Fucking fight me,
Okay.
but I just I feel like there's a bit of just going against it because he doesn't understand it.
I guess kind of like going to quotes that this article says. Like, there's two things that come to mind. One of them is it will perhaps be easy for some to dismiss Scorsese's opinions as those who as from someone who takes only ventures as far as an art house films, but it simply isn't the case, nor has it ever been when it comes to the filmmaker's eclectic love for movies. So many people say it's not just that he's an old style filmmaker, it's just that and it's not that he only likes artsy movies. He likes all kinds of films. It's just that for some reason these movies he doesn't like it. And then
Well, and the thing is, he says he only tried to watch a few.
mhm,
What era of Marvel did he try?
that's also true. And
Because there's the Phase One era, which isn't bad, but is definitely older when it comes to the MCU. It's them learning how to do the MCU. Phase Two, really hit or miss in that era, because you get Iron Man 3, which I still stand by is better than people give it credit, but it's nowhere near the top 10 of the list. You have Thor Dark World, arguably the bottom of every person's list.
mhm,
Still has some redeeming qualities, but it's the bottom of the list.
yeah,
And Avengers Age of Ultron, which is a hit or miss film. But you also have three really good films. Like it's a 50% batting average during Phase Two.
mhm.
So you have Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ant Man, which are all fantastic. And then you go to Phase Three, which I don't think has had a blunder.
Okay. When I mean, I'd say the closest to a blunder was probably be Captain Marvel, but that's not even a bad film. So
We said that was like a top tier Phase Two,
mhm.
which again 50% batting average. That's not terrible.
So, but another part of this article, it says it is also important to understand that in terms of pure cinematic content, Scorsese may have a point. Marvel and comic book movies hold their own place as entertainment. There's no denying that they achieve huge feats in terms of on-screen and box office spectacles that they create. And for some, that is everything that a movie should be. But for those who want something more from the films that they watch, Scorsese's words may ring true, and that's kind of me. Like, sure, like seeing the huge spectacle of 100,000 people fighting on the screen all at once while explosions are ringing off and superpowers are flying.
No, but I also don't feel like every goddamn comic movie should have that, because then we don't have the. Because let's say all comic book movies start doing that, okay? Then how do we get our Logans, our Dark Knights, our Jokers? And Dark Knight, I, I'm like I'm saying those three. Let's say without films like older X-Men films, Sam Raimi trilogy, MCU, DC, whatever, um, we don't have room for the truly different one. Like, and this is me admitting, yes, Marvel has a formula, but they also know how to break that formula in the right way so that it still feels like it fits. The formula, in my opinion, is the universe. So, like, certain things have to kind of exist in a certain way for it to be able to fit into it. And if you break that formula too much, it feels like a foreign object, which we've seen in a franchise doesn't work. And we've seen that with DC and with X-Men. It's been the case multiple times with those franchises. Okay? So if you break the formula to nothing, to make something completely different, it doesn't feel connected. So you need to have some of that formula in there, in my opinion. You need that Formula X to make the Powerpuff Girl. So, with that being said, the concept that these films can't be deeply emotional and deeply impactful and truly cinematic, I still feel is bullshit. Yeah, I heard that quote and I 100% agree with Samuel L. Jackson's take. Martin Scorsese is entitled to the idea that he doesn't like these films. That's fine, and he could say to himself that it doesn't feel like cinema, that they're not. He doesn't feel like they're cinema to him. But the concept of him saying that they aren't cinema is the problem, in my opinion, because then you're saying that you're trying to pass your opinion off as fact when it's opinion. It's a movie, I thought. I remember. Well, I will say Scorsese's had good films since then that he's directed, like Wolf of Wall Street, since like in the last decade. That's one of the biggest movies that came out. 13. Yeah, which is fine. Well, he does documentaries in between and stuff like that. So he also did 2010 was Shutter Island, which I still think is a fantastic film. Um, it's a great film. Departed in '06. He kind of has a film every 4-ish years. Um, which is fine. My point is more that like he could have phrased it better instead of like even if there's a little bit of bitterness in there, like trying to pass the way it's phrased makes it sound like trying to pass off opinion as fact, which is wrong because well, you also agree with him more. To the people who I'm going to say to the majority of people, I think it's fair to say the majority of people feel that Marvel movies are cinema. Oh no, and that's fine. In my opinion, you're allowed to have that. Like, I agree with that as well. There are certain Marvel movies that are movies and certain Marvel movies that are films. That was a fun argument. Which of the main cast do you think was just a bit part? Don't know if I want to. My opinion on it is more that like, then if the problem for someone is that they have bit parts in a movie, then you probably don't like any movies because every film has a bit part in it. Then no film will ever be good enough. No, it's I know. It's just there are certain moments where like your idea of what the errors in their ways are is you just being a picky little bitch sometimes. The fact that there were moments where you defended fucking goddamn Curse of Emily or the ex the no, it was a um yes. Yes. And you had moments where you defended that film. Still pisses me off. Okay. Well, if you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm waiting for, which comes out this week. My Hero Academia! New season. Ah. It can be canon, sort of. Yeah, kind of, yeah. No, Dragon Ball Z movies are almost never canon. Until they are never canon until the Battle of Gods and then Resurrection F. Those are canon. The or they were canon and then they did Super, which rewrote those sort of. Um or oh no, they're not horribly off canon, but trying to place them in the timeline is impossible. Also, Steven is muted. How long have you been muted for?
Am I? There we go. Okay, not long. See, my
Okay.
I fucking hate my equipment sometimes. It's working fine, and then it'll cut out mid conversation.
But I can't wait for My Hero. It's gonna be so great to get back into it. We finally get to see the big three UA students, and it's gonna be so good, so good, so good, so good.
Nice.
And I just can't fucking wait for it. Other than that, I'm not watching much right now just because I had TwitchCon. So
Okay.
I know what you're watching though.
I'm actually watching. I was watching three things lately. It's hard to watch all three shows, especially because one of them is an assignment for critically casual.
Which I failed.
Man. So
I'm not even going to attempt to do this in a week, so.
Yeah, part of our assignment for Critically Casual, which is kind of next part of our discussion for next week, is we were supposed to watch all of Deadwood. So I'm watching season 1 of Deadwood. I'm almost into season 2.
How many seasons are there?
2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't have time.
I don't entirely remember. So I'm in season 1. I'm almost to season 2 on that show. However, the shows that I wanted to talk to you about, which I think you're going to love that I'm about to reference, as a total hypocrite that I am, I have been watching The Tick and The Boys on Amazon Prime. And I like The Tick.
Oh, you like The Tick!
I do like The Tick.
You like The Tick, eh? Oh, but it's just a superhero show, Steven!
See, here...
Steven Scorsese?
Yeah, put on your headphones and I can explain
I
better.
can still hear you!
Alright, fine. So, the reason I like... why I like The Tick is the exact same reason why people like One Punch Man. It's because it's a parody of the superhero genre that puts it in a new light, but also paints how ridiculous it is sometimes. So it plays on the tropes of the superhero genre in a funny way that I can appreciate.
Oh, so you didn't like, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy playing with that formula?
Sometime, I mean, what did I give Guardians of the Galaxy as a rating? I don't remember.
We didn't rate it yet, but...
I mean, with Guardians of the Galaxy, parts of that movie I did like. Parts of it I didn't like. Like, I definitely liked the dance battle conclusion. That was funny to me.
Well, I'm more talking about the fact that they play with the formula of that, you know, being a superhero is ridiculous. Because they have a dude in space, and they make it...
With the Guardians in the Galaxy, it's not as ridiculous as it sounds. Like I understand that they make jokes at it. They make jokes at it at Guardians of the Galaxy, but the degree that they do it in The Tick is further. And the reason why I like The Boys is...
Maybe you just don't like superheroes.
I guess not. And then the reason I like The Boys is it's because it's a satire of the superhero genre. Kind of like Watchmen. Where it shows the ridiculousness of superheroes in the way that we trust them to the degree that we do. And it shows like the behind the scenes stuff of being a superhero that's not all what it's meant out to be. So it's like, those are both twists on the superhero genre, and I like them. They're funny / inventive, but not at the same time because it's been done before.
You know, all of those things are based off of comics.
I do, yes.
Before.
Yes, I do.
So they're not original ideas, Steven.
I know that.
Original.
It doesn't mean
they're not original.
Thank you for the clip, Jay. Yes, that's true. They are not original. I still like them.
Go fuck yourself. I fucking hate you sometimes.
I know. I told you I would break you, and you'd call me the biggest hypocrite ever.
You are. You are just. Oh, God.
It's like I said. It's all about approach.
Yeah, you either need. You can't appreciate superhero films when they're superhero films. You can only appreciate them when they are nothing like it. For the most part.
It's a superhero film that's nothing like a superhero film. Hey, I kind of like it.
Well, I'm over here and I can appreciate horror films that are straight up horror films. I can appreciate comedies that are straight up comedies. I can appreciate ones that are in betweens. I can appreciate all the animations. Am I just like, I am the opposite of you.
Night, Jay.
Except it's only for you. It's only superhero films.
I told you that I literally just said that there are things in movies, in every Marvel movie that I enjoy. Now you're treating it like I'm saying that all Marvel films are black and white. That's...
No. But yes. Because that's usually how your argument goes for those. is that, well, this movie should have done it should have done this differently. How should it have done differently? I don't know, because I wasn't there. Then your argument doesn't exist.
Hey, I've explained ways how they could have done it differently. And then you're like, then you argue against my explanation. And it's like, well, what's the point of even
argue against the explanations?
Then what's the point of me explaining it if my explanation means nothing to you?
I still appreciate having the explanation. I just would like to point into my counterpoints to it.
Sure. Fine.
Because also I'm very comic knowledgeable. So I can also tell you.
This isn't a comic podcast. This is a movie podcast where we talk about movies and their approach to making the films and our thoughts on the movie, not the thoughts on the comic book.
Okay. But a comic book movie has a lot to do with their source material. So, having, some, I don't know, information about the source material that
could help at times,
creates,
yes.
And you can understand why they did certain things certain ways. And why, maybe not 100% from a cinematic point that it's the perfect choice, but maybe from a standpoint from the history of the source material you're taking from, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit real quick.
Sure.
The Lord of the Rings, though changed things from the source material, still stayed true to the source material in a lot of ways. While The Hobbit said, fuck that shit.
Yes.
And which of those two trilogies is the truly superior? By leagues and bounds.
It's obviously Lord of the Rings.
I was really hoping as a joke you'd say Hobbit.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want you to yell at me anymore.
Fair. I'm just saying that the reason why I talk about the comic book history of it is because it's important to the film itself. Which is, when we talked about spoilers with Joker, why the line when he says, I had a bad day, is so important. Because it's so important to the character of the Joker in the comics. I.e. why certain things in Marvel films have to happen certain ways, because it's what happened, it's important to the source material as well. So, completely changing it just because... Completely changing a comic book character or a comic book movie to be truly a movie or a film movie all the time is where we get things that don't land as well.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of the people who this film is more than likely targeted at, i.e. myself, may not appreciate the film as much.
No, I get you. There's definitely a time and a place for each kind of movie. Yes, I get that. That's part of the reason why I said that Hobbs and Shaw was one of my favorite movies this summer. Is it an artsy, creative film? No. Is it a fun movie? Yes. Did I say that? Yes. With superhero movies, do I mention all the moments that I love in them? Yes, I do. Do I mention all the moments that I hate in them?
You are way more critical over all of those than you ever were with Hobbs and Shaw.
Maybe it's, like I said, we are oversaturated in the realms of superhero films at the moment. So that's kind of why I enjoy the stuff that plays on them a little bit. It's not this... So, sure. Give it some time. Whenever our next Marvel movie is. Which...
May of next year.
Yeah. So, come May of next year, being that we won't be seeing a Marvel movie for at least 6-7 months, I might really enjoy the movie. I might just...
Depending on how bad Birds of Prey or Wonder Woman 1984 are, because still up in the air whether or not those films are going to be good.
Birds of Prey.
Because it's DC.
That's something I actually wanted to talk to you about. I pulled up the poster for next month, so I'm just going to say real fast what we're doing for next week, which is Deadwood and El Camino. Deadwood the movie, based off the Deadwood TV show, and El Camino, based off the Breaking Bad TV show. We're doing those next week, for anyone who's curious. Yeah? But, Birds of Prey. When that was originally advertised, was Harley Quinn always a part of it, or no?
Oh, suddenly my comic book knowledge is important.
Not what I was asking. What I was asking is when the movie was first advertised, was Harley Quinn as prevalent in all the ads as she is right now?
In what ads? These are the first ads we've gotten.
Yeah. Because because when I first started hearing about Birds of Prey, it was Birds of Prey. And then the next time I heard about it, it was Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn. Now that I'm hearing about it, it's Harley Quinn with Birds of Prey. And it's like...
The entire time it's been that behind
Okay.
the scenes because Margot Robbie's been signed on to this film since the get-go. So it's always been Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn, which is the title, essentially.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey. And the fantabulous mind of Harley Quinn, or Misadventures of Harley, something like that. Because, one, it ties it into the universe that is already established.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you introduce a whole new cast of characters. Okay. Now, fun fact, she's not a member of the Birds of Prey in the comics.
Mm-hmm. Chasing says the opposite, right as you said it.
No, it's not. Harley's girl group is Catwoman. That is the Gotham City Sirens.
I was about to say,
which
isn't that Catwoman, Poison Ivy,
and Catwoman.
Yeah. Okay.
They're the Gotham City Sirens. The Birds of Prey are Batgirl, Huntress, and Black Canary, with a few other rotating cast members in there. At least when it started.
Okay. Because
Because Birds of Prey existed before Harley Quinn existed. Fun fact.
Yeah, because when I was thinking about the Birds of Prey movie, I initially thought it was going to be about these two other characters who were important, and then the next time I heard about it, it was like, hey, it's about these two other characters, and now they're helping out Harley Quinn. And it's like, okay, sure, that's fine. But then when I was sitting at the theater today, it was all Harley Quinn and only Harley Quinn. And I was like, but I thought this was supposed to be about the two other characters. So, like, that's just me not looking into the articles and, like, the trailers and things. So that's part of the curse of not knowing that I have given myself.
Birds of Prey, like, the main characters, as I pull up the Wikipedia, are Oracle/Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, Black Canary, Diana Laura Lance, Huntress, Helena Utanili, and Lady Blackhawk, Zinda Blake. She's not in there yet, trust me. As soon as this film drops, we're going to get 16 Birds of Prey comic books with Harley Quinn as a key member of it.
No, what you're gonna get... Well, yes, you're gonna get, like, at least a mini-series. So I'm gonna say 6 to 8. But then after that, you're gonna get a crossover of Suicide Squad meets the Birds of Prey.
Maybe. But yeah, no. Gotham City's, like, originally there was the concept that Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, would get a Gotham City Sirens movie floated around, but that kind of became Birds of Prey.
Okay.
Because also Harley Quinn is more of a good guy in the comics now, so.
That's true. Now that she's Sans Joker. Alright.
Yeah.
I was about to, is there any else specific, newsworthy, wrap-up-y that we should talk about here?
Nah, I got nothing else.
Okay. Because I haven't really got much else either. Other than I'm going to watch that clip later where I made you angry, because that was pretty funny. You spelled YouTube wrong.
Shut the fuck up, idiot.
Alright.
Typing fast.
This is the moment where we tell you guys to check out all of our stuff. like our YouTube channel where we upload all the VODs for each and every one of our episodes, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and tell us everything that you love about anything. You can check us out on Twitter, where we're occasionally posting random stuff, but most of the time we'll let you know when we're going live. You can join our Discord, where we are building up our community, and like we're trying to do more and more things, where we're talking to people. We're taking submissions for articles and all that stuff. So if there's anything that you want us to specifically talk about in these episodes, join our Discord, put in our submissions area. We'll do it. Yeah, we got shows Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All that fun stuff. So, that's really all we got here. So, thanks for following us. Thanks for watching and enjoying all that fun stuff. And, don't go crazy and shoot people. That's not okay. It's not okay. No. I don't know if that was a no of agreement or a no that was a bad exit, but goodbye, everybody. And we'll see you guys next Monday with Deadwood and El Camino. Bye.